Have you ever wished you could just delete a painful memory, like clearing an old file from your mind? What if I told you your brain already has a delete button, and you've just never been taught how to press it? Science now proves that letting go isn't just emotional, it's neurological.
Every time you replay a memory, your brain rewires it.
Every time you release it, your neurons literally disconnect. The past isn't holding on to you, you're holding on to it. And today, we're going to explore how to let go so deeply your mind becomes brand new. Every person watching this right now has one thing in common. You've tried to let go, and it didn't work. Maybe it was a heartbreak that rewired your mornings, a loss that echoed in every silence. Maybe it was the voice of a parent, teacher, or partner that told you you weren't enough, and somehow, it still whispers in your mind today. You told yourself, "I'm over it." But the moment you slow down, that same emotional movie starts playing again. The truth is, your brain doesn't just store memories like a computer, it replays them like music. And every replay strengthens the emotional loop. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. When you think about something painful, your brain reopens that memory, not as a file, but as wet clay. Each time you recall it with the same emotion, you reshape it back into the same pain. That's why letting go feels impossible, because your mind keeps hitting repeat. From a quantum perspective, this loop isn't just mental, it's energetic. Your thoughts emit measurable electromagnetic fields. When you focus on what hurt you, your body vibrates at that same frequency, and you start attracting experiences that confirm it. It's not punishment, it's physics. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this living in the past. When your brain is wired by your history, your future becomes predictable. You wake up in the same body, feel the same emotions, think the same thoughts, and unconsciously recreate the same day. And your nervous system, programmed for survival, believes holding on to pain keeps you safe. But in truth, it keeps you small. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's freeing your nervous system from replaying what's no longer true. Picture this. A woman named Emily loses her job. Her confidence crashes. Months later, she gets a new opportunity, but she hesitates. Her brain recalls the failure and warns, "Don't try again." It's not intuition, it's stored trauma speaking. And unless she rewires that signal, she'll keep repeating the same emotional cycle in different forms, job after job, relationship after relationship. That's the hidden trap of emotional memory. The body keeps the score. Every time you relive the past, your body floods with the same chemistry: cortisol, adrenaline, fear. Over time, those chemicals become addictive. You literally become addicted to the emotions you say you hate. So when people say, "just move on," they don't realize what they're asking. They're asking you to reprogram a machine that's been running the same script for years. But here's the good news. The same mechanism that keeps you stuck, reconsolidation, is also the one that can set you free. In 2004, neuroscientists discovered something revolutionary. When you recall a memory, it becomes temporarily unstable, like opening a computer file to edit it. If you introduce new emotional information during that window, the brain updates the memory before saving it again. That means, you can rewrite emotional history. This process is called memory reconsolidation, and it's the closest thing science has found to a real-life delete button. Imagine, the heartbreak you replay isn't a life sentence, it's editable code. The guilt, the failure, the trauma, all neural patterns, not permanent truths. And in the quantum field, that invisible matrix of energy that connects everything, every emotional pattern you hold is a vibration.
When you shift your vibration, you shift the version of reality you resonate with.
This is not philosophy, it's physics. Einstein said, "Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one." When you cling to emotional frequencies from the past, you're tuning your consciousness to an outdated signal. But the moment you emotionally release that frequency, you collapse that version of reality and open a new one. That's manifestation at the level of neurons. Now, what does this look like practically? A man named David suffered from PTSD after a car accident. Every time he heard screeching tires, his body froze. Through neurotherapy, he learned to recall the memory while visualizing safety, breathing slowly, sending calm through his body. Over time, his brain relinked the memory with peace instead of panic. The event didn't change, but his relationship to it did. He no longer lived in fear of the past, because his brain had deleted the emotional charge. Spiritually, this is what the ancients called alchemical transmutation, turning dense emotion into light. It's not about forgetting. It's about reframing. Quantum manifestation operates on the same law. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is fused with pain, your energy feeds it. But the moment you redirect attention, with intention, your energy shifts to creation. This discovery reveals a universal paradox. You can't attract what you want until you stop resonating with what you don't. The universe doesn't speak English or numbers. It speaks frequency. When your brain learns to delete emotional noise, your vibration becomes clear, and creation responds instantly. So the real discovery isn't that the brain can forget. It's that you can rewrite the emotional code of your reality. Let's talk about how to actually press the brain's delete button. We'll call this process the quantum release method. It has 3 steps: awareness, rewiring, and reprogramming.
Step 1. Awareness. Observe without jugement. You can change what you want to see.
Start by noticing what emotional pattern runs your day.
What story repeat in your mind when you're okay? Is it I'm not enough? He always lose. Nothing ever works out.
That's your operating code. Each time you feel that emotion, pause and breathe deeply through your nose. Say inwardly, "This is just energy moving through me."
When you separate identity from sensation, you open the door for change.
Step 2. Rewiring. Introduce a new emotion. Here's the key from neuroscience. A memory becomes malleable when recalled. So call up the memory, just enough to feel it, and then overlay it with a new emotion. Visualize yourself safe, loved, empowered.
Play gentle musique. Smile slightly.
The goal isn't to fake happiness, but to teach your brain a new chemical signature. Your neurons begin forming new synapses, linking the old image with a different feeling. That's rewiring. Do this consistently, and the emotional charge dissolves. The past loses its grip.
Step 3. Reprogramming, encore a new identity.
Now, quantum physics enters. Every thought emits a frequency, and frequency attracts its match. Once you've cleared emotional clutter, consciously broadcast a new signal.
Write a simple affirmation.
I am free. I am safe.
My past does not define my vibration.
Then visualize your future self already living that truth. See their face. Feel their peace. Spend at least 5 minutes in that state, not as imagination, but as embodiment. The body can't tell the difference between real and vividly imagined experience. When you emotionally rehearse freedom, your brain wires as if it's already real. That's the mechanism of quantum manifestation. Try this tonight. Before sleep, close your eyes and replay your day, not as it happened, but as you wish it had. Smile as you feel gratitude for it. This sends a coherent electromagnetic signal into the field. And over time, the field reorganizes matter to match your emotion. This is the secret mystics and scientists are finally agreeing on. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So, to press the brain's delete button, don't force forgetting. Create a stronger, clearer signal of who you choose to be, and the noise fades by itself. When you practice this daily, something remarkable begins to happen. First, your body changes. You wake up without the old tightness in your chest. You notice yourself smiling for no reason. Your cortisol levels drop. Your immune system strengthens. You start to feel safe, not because the world changed, but because you did. Then your external reality shifts. The people who once triggered you lose their power. Opportunities begin to appear, not because they're new, but because your vibration finally lets you see them. A woman named Lila experienced this firsthand. For years, she carried resentment toward her ex-husband. Every night she replayed the betrayal, feeding the same chemistry of anger. When she learned the quantum release method, she practiced it for 21 days. On day 15, she woke up and realized she hadn't thought of him once. She felt neutral, and that neutrality was freedom. A week later, she received a call for a job she'd applied to months earlier, one that changed her financial life.
Coincidence?
Maybe. But quantumly, coherence attracts coherence. Your brain's delete button doesn't erase memories, it erases emotional interference. That's why enlightened beings seem so peaceful. Their energy isn't fragmented by unprocessed pain. On a neural level, your prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for focus and decision-making, becomes dominant again. You stop reacting, start creating.
And your hippocampus, the memory center, stop looping traumatic imprint.
You finally live in present time. Spiritually, this is liberation. The Buddha called it non-attachment. Jesus called it forgiveness. Quantum physicists might call it wave function collapse. Different words, same truth. Freedom is a shift in vibration. And once you delete old energetic signatures, your manifestation speed increases exponentially. You think of someone, they text you.
You imagine success, doors open.
You feel love, and suddenly, it meets you in human form. Because when your field is clear, reality becomes a mirror of clarity.
Déteste the transformation.
Not becoming someone new, but remembering who you were before the pain told you otherwise. And when that happens, you realize something profound. Your brain's delete button isn't about erasing, it's about upgrading. You become a conscious architect of emotion, thought, and frequency. And that's when life begins to respond like a symphony, precise, beautiful, and aligned with your highest signal. Once you've experienced this shift, a new calling emerges, to help others press their own delete buttons. Because collective healing begins with individual coherence. Imagine a world where people no longer react from trauma, but respond from peace. Where forgiveness isn't weakness, but frequency alignment. Where science and spirituality finally shake hands and say, we've been describing the same field all along. This is your mission, to live as proof that emotional freedom is possible. The next time an old wound surfaces, don't fight it. Recognize it as an echo, not of who you are, but who you were. Thank it for showing you what's ready to be released.
Then breathe, visualise, and transmute.
You become a walking transmitter of higher frequency. People feel calm around you without knowing why. You influence rooms without speaking, because energy always precedes words. Quantum manifestation isn't about wishing harder, it's about vibrating clearer. And every person who deletes fear from their brain makes space for more love in the collective field.
Think about it. You're at the strongest electromagnetic field in your body. 60 times stronger than your brain.
When you let go, that field expands up to 8 feet around you, synchronizing with others. That's why compassion heals faster than correction. That's why love is measurable energy. So your mission is not to teach, it's to embody.
Be the proof. Let your peace be louder than your past.
Because in a world obsessed with remembering pain, those who can forget it, consciously, become the true pioneers of evolution. And here's the paradox. When you finally press delete on the story of who you thought you were, you create infinite space for who you were always meant to be. So if you've ever asked, how do I let go? The answer is simple. You don't fight the memory. You rewrite the emotion. You update the vibration. And you let the field do the rest. Because the universe is not keeping score, it's keeping resonance. You don't have to earn peace. You just have to tune to it. If this message spoke to your soul, don't just watch, practice. Tonight, press your brain's delete button. Recall one memory, breathe love into it, and let the old emotion dissolve. Then come back here tomorrow and tell me what shifted. Subscribe if you're ready to live from freedom, not memory. Because your new life begins the moment you let go.